Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Hope you're doing well. Today I'm going to get into the questions from the community. I'm going to go to my comment section on my YouTube channel and I'm going to see what you guys are up to. I'm going to try to answer 3 different comments from 3 different videos and we'll see where that leads us. I haven't looked at the chat today, so I don't know what you guys are thinking about. So it's going to be a surprise to me just as it is to you. Okay, so here's 2 comments on the same video with juxtaposition, like they're thinking differently on the same topic. We're talking about land leasing. So Azarcon is a landholder in land. He owns all of Region 10 in Pretoria, and so that's 1,000 plots. 1,000 plots is a lot to activate. 10 plots took about 400,000 DEC for me to. I needed to put $400 US with the DEC into 10 plots that he gave to me, to then populate them with cards to meaningfully farm them. And so that gives you some sense of if 10 plots cost 400,000 DEC, what would it cost 1,000 plots to be activated? That DEC is not lost to you, but that's all context for you to understand how expensive and how labor intensive it is to launch a full region of land. And because of that, Azarcon actually gave me 10 plots of land with the intention of having me return them at 6 months if he wants me to, or if I'm done with farming them. But the idea is that I will farm them and he will take benefit from it, and so will I. It's this quid pro quo relationship, so long as I honor his deal of returning them, which of course I will. So that's the context of the conversation that these two are going to speak into. And in this video, I did say, man, it would be great if we could navigate a trustless way for that to happen. Let's see what Orisander says about that. And then we've got Mick for Orisander says, people need to buy land and then farm land. We cannot hope to give land for free to be operated by broke people. I love that. I love that comment. Orisander, amen, brother. As one of the broke people who is currently operating land for free through someone else's, ownership of it, I will say to you, I fully agree with you. Actually, I do. It is not logical that we would navigate this. This is a hurdle. This is a challenge. This is a technical difficulty that Splinterlands is facing as we operate land, as we try to build out what land is in Splinterlands. Hear me. It's not good that Azarcon has to literally give them to me, these 10 plots of land. That is not optimal. It is in fact bad. It's unacceptable. Long term, this has to change, and it's really only possible because of Azarcon's significant investment portfolio in the game and my relative reputation, let's say. If he didn't know me, he's not doing that. If he doesn't have any sort of accountability, he's not doing that. If there wasn't any sort of public persona or concern or that I might share, right? Because there is concern I would share if I don't return them or something goes haywire on this, it would hurt my persona. Maybe it would hurt my views on YouTube. It would hurt my channel. And more than to me, it would hurt the game because it would say something bad about Splinterlands, which would harm my vested interest in Splinterlands. So that's really messy. That's not all optimized. It's not good. And so I agree that we need to get to a place where people buy land and then farm said land. The idea that they need to be given away to be operated is not okay. However, in this middle moment where leasing is not technically available, certain people are going to navigate that as they see fit. And this is not a first. I imagine Orisander, who's been here for a while, he's been subscribed for 3 years. You know that in Splinterlands, a lot of people do a lot of things that is not, let's say, traditional. There are people who go to the market, off the marketplace, like over-the-counter trades happen for cards and assets, direct payments in order to avoid market fees. And so there's a lot of things we do that is not optimal because we recognize that if we navigate pathways, we can perhaps save some percentage, or we can activate land plots that we wouldn't otherwise be able to. And when we talk about broke people operating land, people need to buy it and then farm it. I think your words probably are more pointed towards me or anyone who would want to lease the land. But you have to remember that what your phrase implies is that people like Azarcon couldn't handle it. Like you say, they need to buy it and then farm it. Clearly, Azarcon has the deep pockets and the wealth and the long-term interest and the belief in Splinterlands. Like he does. Like you look at his track record, he does. And so I think you're you're right in so many major ways, but then you're wrong in a significant way, which is that it is not necessary for us to think about the land as everyone who buys land needs to immediately operate it, or you're failing, you're not doing something right. Like buying land from an investment standpoint alone is an interesting conversation. I'm not going to get into that right now, but I really believe holding land in Splinterlands is long term going to be a beneficial hold, and that's regardless of how you farm it or don't farm it. Yes, you should farm it, but recognize also there's always there's not a 0 and 1 like binary choice between benefit and non-benefit. If you act in land, you can't act elsewhere. You can't afford everything. So how do you navigate that tension? And so all of that points me towards saying people like Azurcon can't buy and farm everything they've got. People like me can't buy all that they want either. And we're all on this journey together. So how do we navigate that wisely? I think land leasing within the context of Splinterlands, automation long-term would be the optimized plan. And they used to call this land surfing. They said land surfing would be a thing where you have land and someone just starts working it. They said theoretically, you wouldn't even have to enter into a contract with me. I would just start farming on your land, and I would use however many cards I wanted, and I would get however much resources I sort of earned out of that effort. And I would transform your land in positive ways for you, the holder. And somebody could beat me. You could kick me off, first of all, anytime you want. So there's that. And then also what could happen is John Doe or Jane Doe could come and put more effort onto the land than me, which would push me off the land. So that's this potential future. That's something that I talked about a while ago, land surfing, that I think is telling us that not only do major holders of land as well as minor holders or interested parties that don't hold any land, they want this to happen. And so I think you're a little wrong when you kind of make it seem like just get money and figure it out. Like, I think obviously there's this middle ground where there are people with deepest pockets who want help, and there are people who are just getting started who would love a chance. And so I think the game will go to this place, and that's where we come into Mickfer, and he says, it would be great if there was a land leasing market, the same as leasing out cards, renting out cards. But yes, I borrow your cards for the full season. The rental market in Splinterlands is it's thriving. You come in and you can rent any card you want for a relatively reasonable price point. If we look at max cards, and these prices have gone up recently because survival mode has really impacted costs, but 1.5 DEC per day on the Zyvax Fool, that's a max Zyvax. And if I add that to my cart, you're going to see that that tells me there's 12 days within this current season. And so it actually gives me a 24 DEC rate, which is, for that card, like, it's a pretty crappy card, but that's very affordable, I would say. 24, that's 2 cents, 2 US cents. And so clearly there's an interest in Splinterlands and within the economy and within the gameplay and within the community to have access to resources and tokens and NFTs that they can't outright buy, but they want to play with. And so I just think Mickfer is right. And Orisandor is right in some obvious ways. You are better to invest, and rather it is crazy for people to have to give away their land. But the in-between on both of these comments is that we can make this possible, where surfing is the next step, where you can surf the land. And this is a programming issue. And yes, we have a devoted programmer on land, and I have no doubt something like this will come. It's just the question is how long. And in the meantime, people are going to figure out ways. They're going to haggle and negotiate and find paths to the pathway that they want. Thanks for the comments, guys. Let's get another one. RK3000 has been messaging me about bots recently. In fact, I've seen several videos or comments recently where people are asking about how do you activate bots? What's the deal with bots? And so I'm going to try to take this quick little message from RK3000 as RK30,000 as a question around what bots do and whatnot. So let's spend 5 minutes on bots in Splinterlands. So in Splinterlands, you guys know this. It's a blockchain based collectible card game where I buy my cards and I fight you, and the winner receives some sort of reward, NFTs as well as cryptocurrency. You can play, personally, especially within the context of the rank play Modern League. That's where people play live. They don't use bots in Modern League, but in Wild League, as well as Survival League, you can use bots. And so people need to know this, guys. So bear with me if this is all, old news to you, because there is a bunch of new people coming. There's a bunch of comments around this, and so we need to be clear about it. Survival mode is maybe the biggest way where people are really, I think there's new interest coming to the game, and the rewards are really meaningful. And what happens there is every single card gets exhausted after it dies. And so there's this pathway to deep collections, meaning meaningful rewards. Either way though, whether it's wild or survival, bots are possible. And so how one would utilize that and what that would look like is you would come into probably Hive Engine. You can use whichever trading market you want, but hive-engine.com is a pathway to buy some of these tokens. You go to the market and you look up XBot. That's the one that I use anyways. And XBot token enables, so they're selling right there. The last sale was at $39.50 for an XBot token. And right now this guy is selling one for 140 Hive. He's got two of them for 140 Hive. So what's 140 Hive? Right now Hive is at 27 cents or something. Let's go like this. Hive is 26.3 cents. So I'm going to bring up the calculator. 0.263 times 140. So 36.82. Right now you could buy one of those two tokens for $36.82. And then what that would look like is you would log into xbot.app/accounts, and you're going to connect your email, and you're going to connect your keychain. You're going to give it access to, hey buddy, good morning. You're going to give it access to your account, and then you have to configure it. So the first piece is buy the token. The second piece is stake the token, because I should have said that, in your wallet. Once you own the XBot token, stake it. See, I have an XBot token right here. It's staked. I have 0 in my balance, but I have 1 staked. And you stake it by clicking on the little lock button. Mine is staked, so the only option is to unstake. Staking it is the first piece. Buy it, stake it, then come to XBot, register your account with your email and your keychain, and then you're going to config. And we're nearly done here, guys. The first piece is that you need to set up the rewards. XBot takes a slice of your pie. So like if you're going to let XBot run your wild mode or your survival mode or both, you need to actually attribute it a certain amount of the SPS rewards for those battles. And it says right here, please delegate rewards to the account Splinter Bank for reward sharing requirements. So what you do is you look at wild, and you go in here for edit, and you're going to add 10%. You're going to add 10% to Splinter Bank. So you type in Splinter Bank and you go up for 10%. If you do 20, you get wild boost, which makes it, I think, more proficient or something, but I don't do that. I just do 10%. And then I do the same with survival mode. You come in here for survival. If you don't want to do survival, you don't. Splinter Bank, 10%. And then you're going to just come down here and do apply changes. And once you've done that, you've now staked your token, or you've bought your token, staked your token, connected to your account, and you've configured your reward structure so that the system can then operate. You can do more, but that's really, you're done if you've done that. You can come in here to battle, and you can tell it wild only, survival only, wild and survival. You can also go into config, and you can go, you can do, like, you can manipulate the loss streaks at which it will stop. Because if it's playing in survival and you give it like a 24 loss streak possibility, it can like burn every card to the ground. If you do 3, that's more conservative, and it'll stop more regularly. There's lots of things you can do, and there's even things where you can implement, you can enable it to rent cards on your behalf. And so there's a ton of flexibility in here, but suffice it to say, this is very easy to get started and actually more complicated to do some of these more next level pieces. And this is only one of your options. There's Archmage and there's other things too, but I do find this is very effective and successful. And so just to close that conversation, I'll tell you that with a very strong deck, in wild, I'm constantly in champion 3. So like at the highest levels of the game, maybe not the highest, but I'm getting toward the highest levels of the game, and I'm receiving substantial reward. Look, we've got 12 days in the season, and this is a recent wild battle where I won. What did I get? 7 SPS. And then I got a 1200 glint. So that's what you're doing 10 to 15 times a day. And then in my survival, I have a different set of cards that is getting some rewards also. Not very many. This is my last win. Let's see. That's 3 SPS. And the survival wins, the interesting thing about this account or this rank mode is it's not based on how much energy you have, it's based on how many cards you have. You can play and play and play and play forever, presuming you have card depth. Because every time you die, every time a card dies or you lose a match, those cards are now disqualified from play for a series of days. And I won't get too deep into that, but just these are two different avenues which automation is really possible and functional. And one last note before we move away, everybody who's thinking about doing this, if you're thinking about doing wild and survival, you need to know that in your card menu, you can actually click on any specific card and you can reserve it. You can allow use in survival mode, or you can disallow use in survival mode. And there's an even more functional way within peak monsters. If you go into your cards and you just grab, any of your cards and you go, and you can set up filters. So you do this more specifically, but if you've got hundreds of cards, you set your filters. I want all my top cards to not be used in survival, maybe because I want them in my rank reward wild, as well as my guild brawls. And then you come in and you go into the drop down and you go others and you go enable or disable survival mode. And that's how you're going to navigate setting certain cards aside for wild or guilds. And then you're also going to have a collection of cards available to survival. That's bots in a nutshell. There's a lot more that could be said, but let's grab the next question. I just want to, this is the same video, so I'm not going to count that as my third question, but I just want to shout out Rainier Games. He says, love your videos, Dwayne. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. I too have been waiting for 1 million SPS for a long time, and I'm so happy I managed to buy like 500,000 SPS down. Ooh, good for you at the 7/10 of a penny mark, bringing me to 1 million. Good for you, bro. Good for you. Now my problem is I don't think I ever want to sell my SPS again, at least holding it for many years to come, playing for the long game. And rewards are so nice with this much staked SPS. Absolutely. I watch every video you post. Keep them coming. Big fan. Thank you. I really appreciate Rainier Games. Thank you very much for real. Guys, it's awesome to be part of a community that is so, connected. Like, we talk to each other in these ways. Like, this is encouragement, and he doesn't have to say that kind of thing. So it's genuinely appreciated, and it's part of why I love this game. I've said before that Splinterlands, the community, is one of the jewels, or maybe the jewel in the crown of what makes Splinterlands cool. Like, it really is. There's thousands of people probably that are playing the game, hundreds at minimum. I don't really know the exact number. I think probably 2,000 to 5,000 people are playing still. And if that's so, those are like the people that are here are like really connected and consistent and dialed in. And that's awesome. That's something worth celebrating. And so Rainier Games, you're part of that. Thank you, man. And I'll just say one quick note on that before I move on to one last question. I think, I appreciate the heart of what you're saying. Holding for many years to come is it's like actually a great plan. It genuinely is. If you believe in the game, if you think the game is fun and you think it's rewarding, and you believe in the future of where we're headed, meaning you enjoy playing the game, fun. You are satisfied with the trivial daily rewards that are coming to you, because they are trivial initially, but as they add up across time, they can be meaningful. And then finally, you believe in the future where this is going. If that's all true for you, then yes, man, stick around and plan for the future. But I would also say it's within crypto, it makes a lot of sense to watch waves, because, there's lows and there's highs, and that's just the cyclical nature of crypto. And so I would encourage you to thoughtfully consider taking some ice cream money, as After Sound would say, as we get towards some different numbers. Like if we got to 5 cents or 10 cents, even though I want to hold my SPS for a long time, I would take some profits. And that the reason is that's just such a significant multiplier from where you entered. Like if you go to 7 cents, you have to 10x. It's a 10x on where you bought from. And so 10x is a big deal, man. And what would that allow you to then do within Conclave? What would that allow you to do with maybe some land? Or because if you recognize that, you can move from one asset into another asset, and you can love them both. It doesn't mean you hate the SPS any longer. Like it means you still believe in it, but it's like something happened and you can leverage it into a bigger move for option 2 that you also love, like cards in Splinterlands or land in Splinterlands, or even printing it for DEC, which is just the thing you want to hold on to maybe, and you to slowly do bid buys on the marketplace. So much to say in there, Rainier, but good for you, pal. Thanks for the support. Have an amazing day. Let's grab a different video. Bananas. Okay. I'm excited and anxious at the same time. He's talking in a video where I talked about preparing for Conclave with midnight potions. And as I recall, that video was kind of a bit of a deep dive on how I'm preparing for midnight potions, how I'm changing some certain land plots to Aura Labs, and what I'm able to farm out of them with the assets I've got. And it's not cheap, first off. Second off, it's not producing a ton of Aura, which it means it's not producing a lot of midnight potions. I'll tell you, let me read Banana's comment. That's the video. Let me read Banana's comment. I'm going to answer him, and I'm going to give you a bit of an update too on what I've been doing with Midnights. So he says, I'm excited and anxious at the same time. So many good things are happening, but I feel like it's too much for me to handle financially. I got some packs. Now I'm like, how can I actually get enough potions to open them? I will probably just wait to open them until I can figure it out. Okay. There's so much I want to say in there, Bananas, and that could probably be like a 30-minute video. I really believe this topic is so important, and I hope you're still watching and paying attention. If you have Conclave packs, you need to think through what Bananas is wrestling through. You need to prepare. You can't just... I encourage you to think this through now, 10 days, 12 days out from the actual Conclave release, because we're in pre-sale. You can't open these packs. So now is the time to think about it and plan and act and prepare, because you can do things right now. Like, first of all, I want to agree with what he said. It's exciting and anxiety producing because there are many options and I want to do them all. Land production is deeply important to me, and I want to get more midnight potions, and I want to produce Aura, and I want to do other land stuff. And that costs a significant amount of money. But then there's also Conclave, and yes, and then there's pre-sale, and then there's the dollar starter packs, which I want more of, and when the regular sale starts, and so on. So I'm with him. Plus, Rebellion is like looking really juicy, and some cases pretty affordable. So there's lots to say in there, and you can't do it all. You know that, Bananas. None of us can do everything, so you got to pick your lane. And I think you've already done so, because you say you got some packs, and now your next step, you know it, is to figure out your potions. Don't sleep on that. You say, I'll probably wait to open them until I figure it out. You need to start figuring it out now, Bananas. And here's what I mean. When you come into the marketplace, okay, let's look at my land first off, and we're going to see how much the production is now, because it's not much. I talked about this before. I said I was probably going to have 800 potions across the 2 weeks or whatever that I was able to farm. It's not even that much anymore, because some of my cards were rented cards, and that means that I lost some production. And so I don't want to click on everything. Okay, let's see. Okay, so my productivity per hour is 95 Aura. Before the rented cards disappeared, it was like 110 or something. So we're at 95 Aura per hour. 40 Aura makes a potion. And so, it's not like I'm going to get a few hundred potions. And here's why that's important, guys, because he's right. You need 5 potions per pack. And if you're even opening, like, you need probably 1,000 packs to really make a meaningful dent in your 1,000 regular packs to make a meaningful dent in your collection toward this. That's kind of what the math would suggest. And 2,000 is probably going to get you like right full, which is a lot of money. So most people aren't going to do that. But let's imagine that even some people are doing that. Like, it's just the crazy amount of potions. I did a video yesterday with Walking Keys, and we talked about how many potions are necessary and how many potions are available. The number of potions that are like going to be available is like in the 300,000s, and the number of potions that are going to be needed is like in the 300,000s. Check this out. My point is, there's not nearly enough. If we go to Conclave Arcana and you look at how many packs have been sold, there's been 94,000 standard packs sold. There's been 43,000 alchemy packs, and there's been 9,000 legendary. So that's 52 plus 94. So that's 100 and call it 150. 150,000 packs. And if we come to the calculator, 150,000 packs have been sold, and they're all going to have 5 cards in them. That's 750,000 cards, or 750,000 potions. And I just told you that the math tells us that we're going to have production of around 350,000 midnight potions at current production rates. And so that means we don't have nearly enough midnight potions. What does that mean? And what am I asking Bananas to consider? There's not going to be enough midnight potions for everybody, and you do not want to open your packs without them. I really believe double your odds, guys. That's what midnight potions do. Double. And so do not sleep on this. If you're only opening 10 regular packs, I bet your head you'll think, man, I don't really know. I don't want to spend the extra money. I think you're making a big mistake. These are too important. And so I'm doing what you see me doing on the screen here. I'm coming through every time I can, and I'm buying up some of these midnight potions. In fact, I'm doing it daily. I know that I'm only going to be able to produce like 800 potions. And I know that I personally have 540 regular packs. That's over 2,000 cards alone. And so I've got 392 now of the midnight potions. In my opinion, 8 cents is the buy floor. Like, you got to get them. If they're coming on the marketplace for below that, it's because people aren't recognizing the usefulness, the functionality, the significance. Doubles the chance of getting a black foil card and generating cards from Conclave Arcana packs. Each potion applies a single card. You may use up to 5 potions for a Conclave pack. These are too important. That doubling is too significant. These black foils are too powerful, and they're going to be too valuable. And so I think you need to have these potions for every pack you open. It just is unwise to do otherwise. And for 8 cents or below, I'm buying, and I will not be able to produce. In fact, we as a community cannot produce enough. And therefore, if people are selling them for 8 cents, I'm buying them. And so that's my plan, bananas. I bet if people watch this video, if even 20 people do this, we're going to see this floor come back up to 10 cents. And so I say, just keep watching the menu, keep popping in here from time to time. And I've been doing it. I'm going to get up to, hopefully I'll get another 2,000 before we even get to open them. That's my plan. Let me know in the comments below whether this changed or made you think about some new plan for you. I'm going to leave it there. Have an amazing day. God bless.